That day we had just gotten back from a great family trip. We had just been with my entire extended family. It was a beautiful week in the middle of summer. August 15th, we had a new baby, so we're in a great blissful period. And that morning, I got ready with the boys at home. I put the two older boys in the stroller, and the baby I strapped on with the baby Bjorn, and we headed out. It was like 80 degrees and sunny. It was the mid-morning, and that's all I remember, actually.
And then you wake up in a hospital.
Woke up in a hospital. I mean, that whole time at the hospital, I was awake, but I wasn't. I didn't really know what was going on or what had happened. Bits and parts I remember, but definitely very confused and scared.
Yeah. And Kurt, getting that phone call, I mean, that must have been surreal.
Yeah, it's nothing that you prepare for or expect to get those kind of calls. And I remember when the call came in from an EMT from the ambulance with a rapid fire list of questions in terms of identifying my family, blood types, medical conditions, medical history on everybody, and within seconds it's something that you never forget. So it's very scary.
And when you did get to the hospital and you saw your wife there, I mean, what was that like?
It was traumatic. I mean, I ran into the emergency room. My brother, who lives in the city, met me there coincidentally at the same time, and I remember just being torn in all different directions because there was a team that was assigned to each member of my family. So, you have to sort of ask who's in the worst shape and who needs the most attention. So I just remember going from room to room and sometimes changing floors, going from pediatric intensive care to ICU where Anne was.
Central Park is a magical place for so many people, and for so many people it's their backyard. So to have something scary like this happen, a place that, we were going to 68th Street Playground, we've been there every single day for years since our children were born. Kurt and I were engaged in the park. It's something, as we've pointed out many times, the marathon goes past that tree, the Pope went past the tree. I mean, it's in a main thoroughfare, so it's not like we were off in some weird pathway in dark, stormy weather. It was just, we were on a sidewalk in a beautiful sunny day, and just, it's not like it was one small branch, it was the entire tree.
You were doing everything right. You didn't, what would you have even changed if you could go back?
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people have said, like, what are you going to tell your children? And I mean, we're going to tell our children the truth. We were walking and this happened. I mean, it's just so unfortunate.
And I remember one of the things that the police and the EMTs were saying was that you got the brunt of the injuries because you literally shielded your kids from the tree falling. You shielded your kids from danger. And I know you don't even remember it, but even hearing that, your wife just instinctually was mama bear there.
Yeah, well, I'll jump in. What was most fascinating and extraordinary to me was hearing from the neurosurgeons that were the separate and independent neurosurgeons who were evaluating the injuries of Anne and the kids, and each of them described, the way that the initial blow hit. Clearly, it was Anne because the initial tree and the most severe blow hit the back of her head, and based on observations from witnesses, that she had shielded and put her body between the tree and her kids. And I often replay in my head split-second reactions, and even if you think you're capable of doing that for your kids, and we'd all like to think we are, until you're really tested, you don't know if that's how you'd react. And so it's extraordinary that she did that, and what's humbling is she doesn't even remember it. So it's not even like she can take credit for it.
How are your sons doing now?
The boys are doing much better. We're monitoring them really closely. We want to make sure they're okay, and we stay in this positive direction. So. The oldest specifically, he saw everything. He knows what's going on. He obviously was separated from his mom to go in an ambulance, really scary. But, we've worked with professionals to make sure that, we're taking the right steps to make sure that he's okay and you know, is not afraid of going to the park. James is now almost 7 months. He was 5 weeks at the time, and he's a beautiful, happy baby boy, but he's a miracle baby, as we say. I mean, he had a really scary thing happen to him when he was just weeks old. You know, nurses have had to help and take care of, and you know, I couldn't lift him or, you know, nurse or anything. But hopefully we're, you know, slowly making that bond and getting back to, you know, hopefully how I was able to do with the other boys.
How are you doing right now?
I mean, as I said, they were really private, so this is hard to, like, you know, expose so much about what's happened with us. But I would do anything for my kids, and I want to make sure that moving forward we have a full, happy life, and so that's why I'm doing it. No one's ever been in our shoes before, and so we are doing things that you know, we have to do.
Physically, you know, the first couple months and now, you know, what was the everyday pain like? Were you waking up in pain every day? What was that like?
It was more of a mental pain because we didn't know what was happening. We didn't know if it was healing or if I had to have surgery or what was happening. It was more, now it's a lot of, you know, just muscular rebuilding my whole body. So it was more just anxiety of people when everyone's leaving, who's okay, is everyone fine? You know, when something like that happens, you change how you kind of think of normal day things, you know.
And the brace, you wear it when you're outside, at home, can you take it off now?
The first 14 weeks I wore it 24/7, no showering or anything like that, and now I can wear it, I wear it only when I'm outside. So when I'm home, I'm trying to rebuild the muscle and trying to get some, you know, movement back, but when I'm outside, I wear it. With an injury like this, I can't have a bike messenger. I mean, if you think about it, I don't have the reflexes to turn and, you know, like have my wherewithal all the time in New York City. There's people walking everywhere. There's things all the time coming at you. So I have to be really careful, yeah, not to step off a curb or anything like that, because the neurosurgeon just keeps being like, don't fall, just don't fall. So you know, it would be really catastrophic if I did. Having 3 boys under the age of 4, you're like, it's very physical. So I think that's been the hardest change, of just having to rely on other people. Thank goodness we have amazing parents and amazing siblings and amazing friends. I mean, I've said this, I received handwritten notes from people I worked with for, you know, a couple of months 10 years ago. I mean, it's unbelievable. The people who, your friends and your support system it's everything. And we had, you know, Kurt's mom and my mom rotated for being with us the entire fall. They dropped everything. My sister-in-law left her own family to be able to help us. Like, it's, what people have done for us is absolutely outstanding, and we couldn't just never thank them enough, ever.
And the people that were in the park and that came and, you know, took out your boys and took you out without, you know, making you paralyzed.
As I've said, I mean, these people witnessed something that was horrific, and they could have turned and gone the other way, and they ran towards us. And I'm so glad we were in New York City, because people just take the mentality of, you know, we'll help our neighbors. And I mean, the first responders saved our lives, honestly. They took our children, they took our babies, and it's just unbelievable what they did, and we cannot thank them enough.
One vivid memory I have is video and even still pictures of 4 or 5 Good Samaritans, people in running outfits and biking tights, that are complete strangers to each other, that are together holding back branches and you know, heavy limbs on this massive tree, to try to allow others access to come in and, you know, try to rescue the kids and Anne. You know, that kind of teamwork. And you know, it was a day that I think everyone should be proud to be a New Yorker.